Hi, everybody. Richard Troman's here again. And I was going to say Artificial Lawyer TV, but it's not. Which is a new podcast which I am running through Artificial Lawyer. The idea is to really hear the views, the feelings, the ideas, the opposition, the mental angst that a whole bunch of you are feeling towards a whole bunch of issues. This is your soapbox. This is your chance to be heard. My guest today is Todd Smithline, who has pioneered the world of standards and standardization, particularly in contracts. Todd, good to have you on Law Punx.
Good to see you, Richard.
So, first question, what is the most punk thing about Todd Smithline?
The most punk thing about Todd Smithline is that I play drums and started off, this is going to show you the total breadth of my experience. The first band I was ever in was a Velvet Underground cover band, okay? And we were much closer to the Velvet Underground being a recent band, then. And then I worked for a company, believe it or not, with Jerry Harrison of Talking Heads. So those are my complete punk credentials. But honestly, the most punk thing about Todd Smithline is standards, okay? Because we are the anarchy. We are the new energy. We are the look at this thing differently of contracting. We have an industry that is celebrating, that is exalting AI for everything. And there are all kinds of reasons for this. There's been more money invested in AI more quickly than any investment in any kind of technology in history. And this is happening at the same time that technology in general has become such an important sector, if not the most important sector of our economy. It is certainly the most important part of our stock market. So you have all these trends coming together where technology has become more important. AI has become obviously the flavor of the day. All of the investors have gone completely in on this. So there is just a massive amount of energy, pressure, dollars, FOMO being directed at getting everybody in the industry to use AI as their solution to legal problems. So this is like the vast majority of the energy and ink being spilled out there. And then you got little old punk bond terms over here saying, hey, we see this a little bit differently. We think we can solve this problem in a much more fundamental, much more interesting way, much more punk rock way, if you will, through standards, right? So what are standards? Standards are quite simply the lawyers who need to negotiate and enter into these agreements, getting together collectively and saying, we think we could probably draft a set of standard commercial agreements. Let's start with technology that work for both parties, that are best practice, that are reasonably balanced. Let's start everybody here and let's let them get to here with the changes they need to make, as opposed to door number two, the AI door, where we say, let's just keep doing everything just how we're doing it. Let's maintain an adversarial position to each other as two business partners. Let's let one party send an agreement to the other that's completely one-sided, and let's just add AI tooling. But I will tell you, Richard, and I've been doing this for a while. I'm actually a little bit older than I look. I've been doing this for 30 years. And here's been my experience of when we bring technology into the legal problem called contracts, okay? I started off sitting at a desk in an office in downtown San Francisco, and I would hand redline changes onto a contract. Those hand redline changes then we had the opportunity to start typing them in and using redlining software, and then we would fax it to the other side, and they'd open it and read it and fax it back. Now, the fact that we had to spend the time writing our changes and faxing it or FedExing it back and forth introduced both a natural pause into the process and a cost of doing the redlines. If you were an associate coming up in my generation, the number one thing you were used to hearing from a partner when you went into their office was just call them, call the other side. You'd walk in with this red line or this problem and this deal you're having, and the partner would say, pick up the phone and call the lawyer on the other side, figure it out, okay? That was because that was the most efficient way to get to agreement as opposed to sending something back again and back and forth. Then we introduced tooling that allowed everybody to have messaging, emails go back and forth, and redlining within the word processor, and the cost of redlining went down. And then what happened? More redlining. Okay. Then the next step was we put everybody in the same document. This is called Google Doc, right? Hey, here's the thing, guys. You don't have to email it back and forth. You can just all vomit your comments into the same document, both sides of you, everybody in the company. Did that speed up deals? No, it actually didn't. It just meant more people were commenting and people were being less precise in their commenting. And when the cost of commenting goes down, the level of commenting also goes down and it expands. And here we go now with AI, same thing all over again. Hey, guess what? Here's the deal. You don't even have to read it and you don't have to redline it. You just drag the attachment into the AI system, hit the button, it will give you the comments, it will give you the red lines, and one more click, you're sending it across to the other side. Okay. Is any of that really solving the problem of contracts? Well, what is the problem of contracts? In my opinion, it's not knowing what to draft. Most lawyers know what to draft or can figure it out, and we have excellent resources available for them to do that now. And AI is one of those resources. That's really not the problem. The problem is getting to consensus with the other side. That's really the fundamental problem of contracts. It's that I have a list and you have a list, and until it's the same list, we're not signing it, we don't have a deal. So if you understand contracts from that perspective, if you understand the fundamental problem of contracts as consensus, that leads you to a couple conclusions. One is we need to build tooling that helps foster consensus, not foster an adversarial spinning out into space constantly of comments and ideas and negotiations. So who has figured this out in the contracting space? Well, there's exactly one company that's ever gone public in contracts. It's called DocuSign. Why is DocuSign a public company, a successful company? Well, my take on it is they made contracting easier for both sides. Okay. That's why they were successful. They made it, and nobody who ever moved from fax copier and fax machine to DocuSign ever went back and said, I think I'd like to go back to signing the way I did it before. Okay. This is our vision for bond terms. Can we make contracting easier for both sides? The answer is yes. How do you do that? You start them on a standard that understood both of their concerns and that was drafted to work for both of them in a very sophisticated way out of the box. And then you put them in an environment, and this word is really important, together, and you give them collaborative tools. In our case, we give them a standard playbook. That's a playbook we both can draw from, and we give them a feature we call auto accept alternatives, where I can propose 3 different governing laws to you, California, Delaware, and New York, and you can pick the one that works best for you. So we put them in an environment together. We enable them with these collaborative tools, and we help them get to agreement very quickly. And that's the promise of standards. That's the idea of standards. And just coming back to the idea of this podcast, I mean, to me, it's like the most punk rock solution there is, because the standard itself is community created and completely free to use. You start with this collaborative posture on the standard. And to me, that's the future of contracting. It's not using AI tooling to continue to behave the way we've always behaved. It's shifting the fundamental behaviors themselves.
We appreciate you sharing your views. If you're interested in also sharing your views, please do get in touch. But that's the end of Law Path today.